Prynhawn da, mae'n teimlo'n od yn dweud Prynhawn da, nad ydw i wedi cael cinio. Ond Prynhawn da i chi gyd, a diolch am ddewis y sesiwn yma ar les. Dwi wastad yn wyndran pan mae pobl yn dewis sefs gweithdi ar yr achlysu yma, efo herwydd bod chi eisiau dysgu mwy am les mwyn helpu pobl eraill, neu ydych chi efo herwydd les eich hunan. Ond cyn i ni cychwyn, dwi'n siŵr, yn y sector Gymraeg yn aml iawn mae pawb yn nabod ei gilydd. Ond mae yna ambell un yma heddiw, falle bod chi ddim yn nabod pwy sy'n eistedd o'ch blaen chi neu tu ôl i chi. Felly, jyst cyflwynwch eich hunan, fel bod ni'n ehangu'r rhwydwaith yna ac eglurwch o ble yn Cymru i chi wedi dod heddiw. Quick introduction.
Shouldn't it?
Iawn te, na i ofyn i chi orffen y cyflwyniadau, achos mae gennym ni ddigon i drafod nes ymlaen yn ystod sesiwn. Cyflwyno'n hunan i gychwyn, Tegwen Ellis, Prif Weithredwr yr Academi Genedlaethol ar gyfer Arweinyddiaeth Addysgol. Cefndir bennaeth cynradd am bron i 20 mlynedd, ac wedi bod gyda'r Academi am bron i 5 mlynedd yn mis Ionawr, a jyst yn sylweddoli fel bod amser wedi hedfan. Ond pan ddechreuais i fel Prif Weithredwr yn ôl yn 2020, o'n i'n sylweddoli pryd hynny bod angen i wneud mwy dros les arweinwyr, ac yn cydnabod bod y broblem lles yn bodoli cyn y pandemig. Felly, yn y flwyddyn 2020, bydd anfonon ni arolwg holiadur allan i arweinwyr, uwch arweinwyr ar draws Cymru gyfan. Ac fe gython ni bron i 1,000 o ymatebion. Ac oedd yr arolwg yma yn ymwneud yn benodol â lles. Ac yn yr ymatebion hynny, oedd y ffactor mwyaf oedd yn cael effaith ar lles yr unigolion hynny lawr i llwyth gwaith. Ac oedd yna restr wedyn o dan yn dweud pethau fel atebolrwydd, arolwg estyn ac yn y blaen. Ond wrth edrych ar bob un ffactor ddaeth ar ôl llwyth gwaith, oedd bob un o'r rheina yn cyfrannu ar llwyth gwaith yn ei tro hefyd. Felly, mwyn bod yn sefydliad oedd yn weithredol ac yn ymateb ac yn gwneud rhywbeth amdano fe, gaethon ni sgwrs gyda Llywodraeth Cymru ac yn dweud, reit, mae rhaid i rhywbeth ddigwydd. A pryd hynny, pan o'n i'n siarad gyda Kevin, wedodd e, fi'n gwybod, does neb yn Llywodraeth Cymru gyda'r cyfrifoldeb o edrych ar les arweinwyr yn benodol. Erbyn hyn, mae hynny wedi digwydd a mae llwyth gwaith a lles yn digwydd cwmpo mewn i faes Kevin Palmer yn Llywodraeth Cymru. Felly, mae pethau wedi dechrau newid, ond ydyn nhw wedi newid yn ddigon cyflym? Na, dydyn nhw ddim. Mae gennym ni pwyllgor neu gweithgor sy'n cynnwys academyddion, sy'n cynnwys pobl proffesiynol o'r sector iechyd, sy'n cynnwys cymdeithion ac penaethiaid yn debyg i'ch rôl chi, sy'n cyfrannu at drafodaeth o beth sy'n angen newid i edrych ar ddatrys y broblem yn hytrach. I ni'n gwybod beth yw'r broblem, i ni wedi cynnal arolwg dod i weld hynny. Ond nawr ni yn y sefyllfa hyn o dderbyn bod rhaid i pethau newid, a mae rhaid i fi ymateb i hynny trwy ddweud beth gall ddigwydd yn y dyfodol. Felly, a dyna ble i ni o ran y drafodaeth hynny. Fe fydd Kevin yn cael sesiwn nawr, yn mynd gyfrannu'r sesiwn yma, trwy ddweud beth yn union mae'r Llywodraeth Cymru wedi bod yn gwneud a beth sydd ar y gweill gyda nhw. A hefyd, nes i ddim cyflwyno Owain a Helen. Helen Jones, pennaeth Ysgol Gyfun Maes Deg, a Owain Jones, pennaeth Ysgol Abereiron. Maen nhw'n gymdeithion gyda'r Academi a maen nhw'n cyfrannu at lais arweinyddiaeth. Felly, fel sefydliad, dydyn ni ddim yn eistedd mewn swyddfa ac yn dweud, reit, dyma beth i ni'n mynd i wneud. I ni'n troi at y cymdeithion bob tro i ddweud, edrych, beth sydd yn digwydd a beth gallwn ni wneud yn wahanol mwyn sicrhau bod arweinwyr ar draws Cymru yn gallu mynd i'r gwaith, gwneud eu gwaith nhw y gorau gallen nhw, heb gwybod bod yr amser yna yn cyfrannu at blinder ac unrhyw wyliau yn cael eu cymryd o edrych ar sut maen nhw wedyn yn dod i lawr ar ôl y digwyddiadau sydd wedi bod ar y gweill yn ystod y tymor ac yn y blaen. Beth i ni moyn wneud ydy creu gweithlu sydd ddim yn gorfod ystyried lles yn y pen draw, a mae'r gair resilience, dwi'n gwybod beth gael yn Gymraeg, a mae'r gair resilience yma wedi dod mewn i'r geirfa ni. Mae e'n rhan erbyn hyn o'r terminoleg i ni'n defnyddio. Ond pam ydyn ni'n sôn am greu gweithlu sydd yn resilient? Dylen ni fod yn creu gweithlu sydd yn barod i fynd i'r gwaith, wneud i gwaith, ac wedyn mynd adre a cael bywyd cymdeithasol heb bod yn orfod meddwl am y gwaith eich chi'n cymryd adre gyda chi a'r gwaith sydd i ddod. Felly mae'r sesiwn heddiw yn mynd i fod chydig bach o wybodaeth gan Kevin nawr yn dweud beth mae Llywodraeth Cymru wedi bod yn gwneud, ac wedyn trafodaeth gyda Owain a Helen am y gwaith maen nhw'n gwneud a derbyn syniadau gyda chi o beth gall newid mwyn i ni creu y gweithlu gwell yma sydd yn barod i fynd. Gethon ni gwestiwn o'r llawr bore yma, diffyg pobl yn dod trwyddo ar gyfer ymgeisiau'n swyddi, ac ni'n gwybod dyw hwnna ddim yn rhywbeth unigryw i'r sector Gymraeg, bod e'n waith yn y sector Gymraeg. Mae'r sector ffydd hefyd yn gwynebu yr un math o broblemau, ac erbyn hyn i ni gweld rhannau daearyddol o Gymru hefyd yn dangos bod yna nifer llai o ymgeiswyr am swyddi unigryw, ac hefyd yn y sector uwchradd mae e'n waith eto dydy. Felly, digon ohono fi i siarad, a dwi'n mynd i asio draw nawr i ôl y Llywodraeth Cymru.
They didn't clap, Peg. You said they were going to clap.
They'll clap at the end.
They'll clap at the end. If they don't clap at the start, they never will clap.
Rowch groeso I Kevin Palmer.
See? Hello, folks. I'm just going to talk for about 5-7 minutes about workload and well-being and what we're doing in Welsh Government to try to improve what is a pretty difficult situation. So I'll start with actually the portfolio thing you mentioned earlier on. This area of policy fell into my portfolio about 7 or 8 months ago. It wasn't there before, but we lost the DD, funnily enough, to issues around workload and well-being. And then somebody needed to pick it up. So I said, I'll have a go at that because it's part of workforce, PL, that all makes perfect sense. And I think it was a coincidence that about 4 weeks later we went into industrial dispute with the union. But I picked up a whole set of stuff that I'd never encountered in my life before. I'd always been a lecturer, an academic, a person who makes stuff happen, not a negotiator, not somebody who's used to the kind of stuff that we then have to do. It's been fascinating. A whole new skill set at 61 is a thing. But it's been a real eye-opener for me. That's what I want to share, is some of the things I've discovered and the things that we need to do something about as a consequence of that portfolio item dropping onto the desk. And I'll start with differentiating between workload and well-being and then talking about how they intersect. So for me, nice and simple, workload is the amount of the load of work I've got to do, is it 75 hours this week? Is it 46? And well-being is how I feel about that, and how I feel about my job and my belonging to my organisation, my commitment to the people I serve, whether this is work worth doing. And I think while I'm discovering, and it's a thing that I go through as well, what I'm discovering in my conversations with unions in this negotiation is people aren't objecting to having to work. Right? They're not even objecting to having to work quite long hours. They're objecting to having to do work that they don't understand the value of, or maybe work that doesn't have value. Now, I work in the civil service, right? Imagine that. So I'm an educator, an academic in the civil service. 40% of what I do, I don't understand the point of, right? Because it's, my boss is actually listening to this. Oh no, that's the P45 moment. So that's because, as an educator, still even now, 5 years as a civil servant, as an educator, I come to work and I'm still thinking like an educator. Now, everything we do, and I can see there's people from local authorities here as well who've got the same educational background, you've got to know why it is you're doing stuff, right? So I know. First question I ask is, what difference is this going to make Monday morning in school? I can't stop asking that question. What difference will it make? If there's no easy answer to that, the next question is, so why am I doing it then? And oftentimes it's about democratic accountability, it's about safe use of resources, it's about all that stuff that governments have to do. And I have to say, once I've done that analysis, I'm rarely left with anything that doesn't make any sense, right? And I don't think that's the case for lots of my colleagues in the system. I think when you go through that question set, whatever your version of it is, I think at the end of it you say, I don't understand why I'm doing this, right? And that is a killer moment, you know, when you're doing another form or you're answering another questionnaire or you're going into a process and you don't know what the value of it is. For me, that's where workload and well-being intersect all too frequently. So I'm just going to list about 7 or 8 things that we've been working on with our union colleagues. So I had Laura in the last one to keep me honest, or you in this one to keep me honest, and just update those of you who won't have been involved even tangentially in this on what we are trying to achieve with our union colleagues in the workload space, particularly for head teachers. So a little bit of a list of stuff, right? So the first one is working on Welsh Government Workload Impact Assessment. Okay? And Welsh Government Workload Impact Assessment is a way of saying, when we make up a policy, we've got to have some kind of idea of its impact on workload in the field, whether that's in a local authority, or in a school, or actually in a classroom. Now, you might be surprised to hear we haven't always done that terribly rigorously, or not at all sometimes. And so our union colleagues reminded us of this, reminded me of it quite sternly about 6 months ago. And so we began a process of a workload impact assessment process that is embedded in all our other impact assessment processes. Like we do stuff on Future Generations Act, we do stuff around sustainability. We evaluate the impact of what we are thinking about in terms of policy, but now we've added, who's this making work for? How much work is it making? What's the nature of that work? How are they going to do it? And if it's an extra 4 hours a week for a head teacher, what's going to come off the table, right? And that's something that the unions are absolutely rightly holding our feet to the flames. So workload impact assessment is a whole new area of work for us in Welsh Government, really. The second area of work has been in resetting the groups that talk about this. So it's a bit of civil service stuff. And we've had some groups who've talked about workload impact assessment to us, but they haven't really worked. So those groups haven't really given us the kinds of insight we need in order to make changes. So we've reset all those groups. It's taken months to do that, but it's nearly done. It'll be done by Christmas. And that will give us a much clearer insight into particularly 3 areas of activity that create workload. One is it's the financial environment, which is obviously very, very difficult at the moment, but it's not made any easier if it's not clear and transparent and as simple as it can be for folks in the field. The second is what we call engagement and reporting. So this is where we, regional consortia, for example, local authorities, will engage with you in school and will ask for generate reports out of that. We're being told that that's kind of gone a bit nuts in the system. Not by everybody, but by a significant proportion of those people we meet. There is over-reporting, is what we're being told. So we need to explore that. We particularly need to explore who's causing it to happen. So we'll hear stories you've got to do this thing because Estyn are coming and they need to know about it. You've got to do this thing because there's a Welsh Government Act over it that says you've got to do it's the law, right? And when you look at it, it's not, right? It's either it's a misrepresentation of an ancient statute that doesn't exist anymore, or it's a misrepresentation of what local authorities are asking for, we're asking for, or Estyn is asking for. So there's a lot of just confused noise in the system about what it is people in different parts of the system really want. So on reporting engagement, we have to clarify a lot, including looking again at statutory and non-statutory guidance around reporting, which is a burden. The other part of that, and we haven't really started to look at this yet, but I want you to know that we are, is the accountability environment, right? So I'm looking around now at people who I think may have been in the system for a few years, and you'll remember the kind of accountability environment that existed. I was in England when this happened, it happened here, where there was a severe, even punitive analysis of accountability. And when I came back to Wales from the other country I'd been in, I remember talking to a consultant who was helping me settle in. He said, he came to Wales from England as well. He said, they're all scared. They're all so scared. I don't understand why this is the case. Now that's changed a lot, but it hasn't changed enough. There's still an edge to accountability that could be different and could be more engaging, enabling, and facilitating. Fourth one to talk about is the support that's available for head teachers and teachers in the system for their well-being. There's a thing called education support, which we heard quite a bit of from last week actually, but that is a thing in the system that is probably underused, and we maybe talk about that why that's the case after. Nearly a couple more. Next one is the whole school approach to mental health and well-being. So lots of you will know this, but some of you will have taken the view that it's there for pupils, maybe for teachers, but definitely not for me. Right? It's the whole school approach to mental health and well-being. It includes you. I would say, I said it previously, it should disproportionately include you and your leadership team. You and your leadership team should be the focus of the whole school approach to mental health and well-being, because when you fall over, the whole of the rest of the system falls over. When one child falls over, that's bad news, but it's significantly, seriously systemic bad news if it's the head or a really crucial depth. So there's a thing around the whole school approach. Next thing is professional development and review, which used to be called performance management. So I always say this, so I said it again, performance management, two completely irrelevant words in the modern education system, right? What we need to be doing with professional review and support is that we should be not managing performance as an ancient view of how the teaching profession looks, but improving performance, supporting development and making people happier, better teachers. And that is work that's taking place now. There's a couple more, just 2 or 3 more. The first is a review of NPQH. So the National Professional Qualification for Head Teachers is under review at the moment and will include a more significant component in supporting well-being, particularly in the first year of headship. So it's always been a bit, get the NPQH off the go, you know, the door shuts, the keys are on the desk, that image that we have of head teachers alone in their first year of practice. It's not right. Then penultimately, this has been mentioned already today, and I know it's controversial, but I'll mention it again, which is the school calendar. So we talk about the school calendar at the moment from the point of view of, is this good for learners and will it close the gap on learning loss in the 6 weeks? We don't talk about the school calendar in terms of how can it support the mental health and well-being and resilience of teachers and leaders. Some of the background evidence on how you can change the school calendar if you think about well-being for practitioners is actually quite compelling. There's the whole stuff about we operate in because we're here in November, aren't we? So we're in the second half of that second half term. It's going to end up with us all pretty much knackered by about the middle of December. They're still having to fight our way through. So there's a thing about how we manage time over the course of the year to support teachers and leaders' well-being. And then finally, I forgot this in the last one, to be reminded, there's a group currently working on a workload and well-being charter, and that charter is a documented statement of intent for all of us in the system to support well-being and workload for teachers and leaders. So it's government saying, we will do this and we won't do that. It'll be local authorities, regional consortia, whatever you call it, STIM. Us as a system saying, this is what we mean by well-being, this is what we want to do to promote and support it, and this is how you hold us to account if we don't. And that includes colleagues in Welsh Government. So, good timing, Hannah. I'm just about done. Good timing. It's the best of it. So that's kind of the list. I don't think I'm taking questions, am I? Unless people, I think we'll sit down now.
I'm taking over now, and then we'll have questions perhaps towards the end. Good afternoon, everyone. I'll do this section in Welsh. Pnawn da chi gyd. Diolch am ymuno gyda ni yn y rhan yma o'r cyflwyniad. Owen Jones dwi Cynnau Ysgol Gyfun Aberaeron ac yn aelod o garfan 5 o'r Academi Genedlaethol. Mae Helen Jones yn aelod o'r un garfan ac mae tua 8 o ni wedi cael y comisiwn yma fel rhan o'r gwaith yna i edrych mewn i hawl llesiant ar gyfer arweinwyr yng Nghymru. Ac fel rhan o'r comisiwn yma, mae rhaid ni ymchwilio, casglu gwybodaeth mwyn rhoi adroddiad llawn at ei gilydd i law yr Academi fydd yn mynd at sylw y Llywodraeth. Felly mae'n anrhydedd i ni gael y cyfle yma i roi peth at ei gilydd, ond wrth gwrs mae yna bwysau ar y gwaith yma. Ni wedi bod yn cwrdd, a ni wedi bod yn edrych ar sut ni'n mynd gynllunio hwn allan a beth ni'n mynd i wneud, ac ni wedi penderfynu bod angen i ni gasglu cymaint o farn o phosib trwy grwpiau ffocws. Ni ddim wedi rhoi heliadur arall allan, mae lot wedi mynd allan eisoes a gallwn ni gael y wybodaeth yna o'r meysydd hynny. Felly ni wedi bod yn casglu lot o wybodaeth trwy grwpiau ffocws a gewn ni gyfle chydig nawr i falle rhoi cyfle i chi drafod ac i gasglu ychydig o barn nawr mewn bosib. Wrth trafod, ni'n llawn ymwybodol bod ni gyd yn ymwybodol o'r heriau sydd allan yn ambarod. Mae yna adroddiadau wedi cael ei wneud o blaen, mae'r Academi wedi comisiynu un gan Dr Alice Davies yn edrych ar y modd yn y sticking plaster, sydd yn amlinellu beth yw'r pryderon a'r heriau i arweinwyr yng Nghymru. Beth i ni wedi canolbwyntio arno, beth i ni yn edrych mewn i, yw pa fath o hawl llesiant, well-being entitlement, pa fath o hawl llesiant sydd eisiau ar arweinwyr yng Nghymru mwyn y cefnogi ni. Nawr, wrth edrych ar arweinwyr, beth i ni'n canolbwyntio arno yw uwch arweinwyr. Cyfieithiad yw'r program syniaethau cynorthwyol mewn ysgolion, y sector drydyddol a'r youth work hefyd, y gwaith ieuenctid hefyd, a ddim yn ymestyn yn fwy na hynny. Mae'r darn yma yn ddigon mawr, heb sôn am edrych ar lles i bob rhan o bwrdd mewn ysgolion. A ni wedi bod yn casglu gwybodaeth ac yn edrych am farn gan arweinwyr. Felly dyma gyfle i chi drafod ac i ni gael rhan o'r sgwrs nawr mwyn i ni cael clywed beth ydych chi i weid. A hefyd, ni'n siŵr mae Kevin wedi diflannu, dyma fe'n mlaen i gael clywed hefyd beth i chi'n meddwl am bethau hefyd. Be ni wedi bod yn gwneud yn y grwpiau ffocws yw gofyn rhyw 4-5 cwestiwn a torri rai nhw lan. Gen i ddim amser yn ei popeth, ond fel cwestiwn cychwynnol i chi drafod, beth ni'n gofyn i chi feddwl ydy, oes yna ddarpariaeth ar gael eisoes sy'n gweithio'n dda i gefnogi lles chi a'n lles ni fel uwch arweinwyr mewn ysgolion. Felly os yna ddarpariaeth allan yna nawr i gefnogi'n lles ni fel uwch arweinwyr, beth yw ydy yn gweithio yn dda ac a oedd angen i chi ofyn am hynny. Felly gymrwch 2-3 munud a wedyn gewn ni bach o adborth nôl. Diolch.